One of the most important things is we say that opportunity misses those who view the world through the eyes of their profession. So let's say somebody said, they like to trade stocks or whatever, or they're a doctor, whatever. They know their field, but they're not looking at all of the other issues that affect those. All things are connected, as Chief Seattle said, like the blood which unites us all. So that's one thing. We look at from geopolitics to economics to technocracy to high-tech science to AI to health, fitness. We look at everything going on and then make connections between different fields. And the other important element is it is so hard now to get data. The Wall Street Journal has turned into crap newspaper. I used to love it. There are days when we don't get one article from it that's trend worthy. We're looking for data. We need data. And again, you're seeing one company after another. What did Washington Post just fired another 4% of its workers? You pick up the New York Times, they call it the paper record. I call it the toilet paper record. Look at the business section, particularly on a Sunday. 3/4 of the page or more are a picture of some stupid crap. And you open the paper up, big pictures. Back in the day, there were hardly any pictures. There was stuff called text. Journalism is dead. Look at the news. You like Trump, you watch Fox. You like the Democrats, you watch MSNBC. How about just getting information that you could think for yourself? No, that's
Right.
not allowed anymore. I call the media in America prostitutes. Media whores that get paid to put out by the corporate pimps and the government whoremasters. Let's take the tariff issue. When he was in office, he said he was going to do some things with tariffs and some things he didn't do with them. So what is he going to do? And by the way, I'm a political atheist. I only look at things for the way they are. I believe in the human spirit, not the political crime syndicate. So there was a guy by the name of President McKinley. He says, what would you like? Would you like cheap products or higher wages? So we build manufacturing. Now let's go back to the facts. Again, all things are connected. This is an example. Let's go back to the Ukraine war when it began in February 2022. Joe Biden put sanctions on Russia, and company after company is flooding out of Russia. Putin's going to pay the price. That's a quote from Biden. Putin didn't pay the price. They have the human and natural resources to be self-sufficient. And that's exactly what has happened in Russia. Their economy is doing very well. Their inflation's up, but hey, it's up in a lot of places. But it didn't go down. Putin didn't pay the price. So going back to Trump's tariffs, America has all the human and natural resources to be self-sustaining. You take a country like Germany, the third largest economy in the world. They're in a recession. They're not very good in the AI field, are they? And the ones that are in AI, they're moving to America. So we have the human and natural resources to make this possible. Will it bring up inflation? Yeah, it will. But will he stick by what he says and put the tariffs on what he says? So we don't know. And then you look at the geopolitical side. Look what just happened with the possible ceasefire in Gaza. And it was brought to that guy, was Whitcliffe, whatever his name is, that Middle East envoy that Trump brought in his cabinet, not the Biden administration. Now they're saying, again, this just came out from CNN, Netanyahu makes rare political error complicating approval of Gaza truce. And they go on to say that he faces a stark choice: give into extremist right-wing demands to return to war after 42-day ceasefire, or accept support from the political opposition and give them veto power over his future in office. Anyway, so it's up in the air because that extreme right-wing government that supports him says that we're only going to do it for 42 days, which is not going to be a deal. But the Trump administration made this happen. So people are very positive on a lot of issues. So the wild cards, though, is he going to stick by what he says? Because you could look at his track record. He says some things and does other things. Interest rates. That's the name of the game. I mean, you saw what happened when the numbers come down, with the inflation numbers are lower than expected. Boom, the equity market goes up 700 points, the Dow. Will Trump force the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates? So let's go back to 2018, December. You had the worst Dow in December 2018 since the Great Depression, 1931. Trump was in office. What did he do? He pushed Powell into lowering interest rates. He lowered them in January 2019. So let's go back to one of our top trends for 2024. It would be a golden year for gold. It just went up again because of the low inflation rate, and they believe that the Fed will increase lowering interest rates. But that's only a couple of day thought, because more data is going to keep coming out. The lower interest rates go, the deeper the dollar falls. The deeper the dollar falls, the higher gold prices go up. Go back to Trump, the Trump card. He will do everything to keep the economy strong. He's invested in it, from Bitcoin to buildings to you name it, stocks. And you look at, he brought 10 billionaires into his club. They want to keep the economy up. The only way the economy is going to go up is with interest rates going down. So that's the way we're looking at things. The wild card that no one's talking about, anybody Google it up, Castle Systems, office occupancy rate in the United States, 43%. Your office vacancy rate, depending on the numbers you're looking at in the largest cities, are around 20% vacant. Let's go back to the COVID war that began in 2020. After 4 or 5 years, now these leases are up. People aren't going to be taking back the spaces that they had. You go back to last year on 50th Street in New York. I mean, you know New York. Midtown, a building that was sold for $320 or $312 million back in 2006. Last year went on for auction and it was sold for $8.5 million. It's in the middle of the block. No windows behind it, no windows on the side of it. Convertible, no, not to, they keep talking about they're going to convert this to apartments. No. The buildings built within the last 50 years, according to the data, non-convertible. Going back, there's going to be an office building bust that nobody's talking about. And it's going to bring down the banks. Between now and 2026, you're looking at over $2 trillion worth of commercial real estate loans coming due. There's going to be defaults on them. Let's go back to 2023. Remember Signature Bank, First Republic, and Silicon Conman Valley Bank went bust? Look what happened to the equity markets and gold prices. Equity markets were collapsing, gold prices. That was 3 banks. You got hundreds of banks that are going to see defaults on these loans. No one is talking about it. It's not in any of the media. They'll make up anything. We're going to go to a digital currency. How about that? I'm the president of the United States, 1933. Turn in all your gold. I thought things would collapse in 2012. They didn't teach me about zero interest rate policy and a thing called quantitative easing in Economics 101 at graduate school. Quantitative easing? Oh, how about this? Not my numbers. Levy Institute at Bard College. $29 trillion given to the banks to bandits to bail them out of the panic of '08 that they caused. They're money junkies, so they'll do everything to keep it going up. I was just reading an article from this big AI guy. They say in the King James Bible that the meek shall inherit the earth. This clown boy says how hard it is and all the practice it takes to play an instrument. There's no need to play an instrument anymore. AI could make it better. How disgusting. I don't carry a cell phone, by the way. And I did work for the cellular telecommunications industry going back to the early 1994 when there were boxes in the trunks of cars and aerials. And I've been studying the radio frequency radiation of those things since then. And again, the latest, they're hardly putting out the data anymore, but you could look it up. University of California, Berkeley, you're on a cell phone for 17 minutes a day for 10 years. Your chances of getting a brain tumor only increase by 60%. And it goes on and on, the 5Gs. So anyway, going back to AI, it's the future. It's going to keep going. But now there's the other element of it. Again, we're old enough to remember the dot-com bust. And we had forecast that in the Trends Journal, by the way, they're overinvesting in a lot of these companies. And we heard the guy from NVIDIA say some things about this quantum computing on and on may not happen for another 15 to 30 years. They're over-investing in it. So you're going to start seeing some big busts coming in dot-com sector that could also bring down the equity markets. There may be a big down in the dot-com sector, in the NASDAQ sector this year. Let's go back a little over a month ago. You had Brent crude at about $71 a barrel. Now, because of the sanctions increasing that Biden just put on Russia, Brent crude is at $81 a barrel. And we got a cold winter, prices are moving up. Now let's go to the Iran war. There are about 7 million people in Israel when you take the Arab population out. There are 91 million in Iran. Iran is a very advanced society, culturally, scientifically, militarily. Trump team and the Netanyahu team are ramping up talk about putting more pressure on Iran. If war breaks out between the United States and Israel against Iran, or Israel against Iran, you're going to see Brent crude go to about $130 a barrel. That will crash the global economy and it will crash the equity markets. That is the big wild card play on the geopolitical side. On the other side, with Ukraine war, all of a sudden there could be a false flag event. The Russians just bombed a nuclear power plant and whatever. So you don't know where this is going to go. Ukraine is going to do everything they can to stay into this war, regardless of what Trump wants to do. But if Trump lives by his word and brings peace, that'll be a boost for the economy too, because you look at India's numbers, they just went down. China in deflation, they have a housing apartment crisis. You look at the numbers between 60 to 90 million vacancies. And again, they caused this by themselves. When they started the COVID war on Chinese Lunar New Year, the year the rat, January 2020, and 3 years of zero COVID policy. They destroyed the lives and livelihoods of hundreds of millions. The damage it's done is incalculable. The inflation, that was brought to you by the COVID war. Everything should have crashed. No, don't worry about it. Here's trillions of dollars of fake money backed by nothing and printed on nothing. That's what brought the inflation up. Hey, don't stay home. Here's money. Nightlife, where I am up in, they call it the Hudson Valley, they call it Death Valley. 9, 10 o'clock at night now, it's dead. Down the city, it's not the same place anymore. I ask the cab drivers every time I go down there, when's it quieting down? Around 12:30 at night. Now, you know, we used to go out at 12:30 at night. You got to look what's going on. Europe is in a very dangerous place right now. You mentioned before about Trump getting rid of the bureaucracy. That's what's killed Europe, the bureaucracy. You know, I used to spend a lot of time in Italy. It's one of the most bureaucratic places around. And Germany's right there with it. They're killing businesses. And bureaucrats are the low-life pieces of crap that you could find anywhere. These are people that can't get a job in the real world, that suck into the political system and become the most arrogant. Oh, and they get all the benefits when they quit working after a short time. They're destroying the economy in a country near you, city, state, all over the world. And so it may be very positive what Trump does in getting rid of a lot of this bureaucratic crap.